Hello, today we're going to do something different. This can be considered version part 2 of the flow to surface shank, or the loop ring, made from a static design to a parametric design. We've placed it now under the AlgoJewels shank tab, and we're going to draw it to the canvas. On the canvas, you can see we can link to the video by pressing this. We've installed a video link which will take you straight to see the other video. When you press it, it moves you over to show you the loop ring. And this is where we've taken Paolo's design and walked through it and turned it into a parametric design. So you can turn this off. You can, once you have it on the screen, you can delete it as well. The idea is to show you the versatility of AlgoJewels. Once you have it drawn from the canvas, or from the tab, from the shank tab, we draw it straight down to the working canvas. If we're not happy with this design, we want to make something different, but we want to use the basic flow to surface workflow. And that is where we draw curves on this surface here, the work surface that will show up on the target surface. In this design, we've used a curve, and it all comes down to create a geometry, which is this pipe here, or this half of the shank that turns into half of the shank. And what we've done is we've created it from a line and mirrored it, and that's discussed in the last video. So what we want to do is change it now into using the same workflow method, but we want to change it to another design. So what we have here is, let's do it. Now we're using the same workflow, and if you look at it, it's exactly the same. We got 3 stones or 4 stones. We've removed the mirror, and we've turned it into a twisted style ring, which looks completely different than than what we did. Oh, it wasn't saved, that's why. It looks completely different than our flow to surface ring. Okay? So we're now bringing back and changing it. What we've done, instead of using a curve to create this by extrude, we've used the 7-point sweep component, and that's found under surfaces, 7-point sweep, because we're doing a 7-point sweep 1. And what we need is a rail curve. In this particular case, there's the input rail curve that we've drawn on to the surface. We've run it through a 7-point sweep. We've added profiles to it to start, beginning, and end. We can add a different profile for excuse me, each of these points, and adjust the points on the curve where the profile will be. Okay, so we have a rounded one at the beginning here. Now we can move the profile. See what happens when you move the profile? You're changing it because we're moving the point on the profile curve here. So the first point will always start at the beginning of the curve, but we can move. Okay, let's move onto the 3rd point profile. And watch what happens. See what happens as we're moving the third point profile? We're widening the band up in here. Okay? We created a closed B-rep. Then we've inputted the closed B-rep into the orient to ring surface and target surface. And that's created there. Because this is new, we've had this internalize, this curve. But if we would like to change this, what we should do is right-click on here, and we're going to bake the geometry. Let's use the ring sizer there. Okay. Now the geometry is there. Now let's reset one curve. And what that does is it allows us to now move the geometry live and adjust it to what we want. Okay? Now let's say we want to take the next step and move it one step further. We use the gemstones here, and we use the rotate 360 global and a positioning point to move the gemstone around the curve surface. But we can also use the sliders to move it. And the beauty is we can rotate it in any direction we want. Okay, we can rotate it any direction we want. And any of these gemstones can be done. So let's now make this ring a little different and add a second curve in here. So what we've done is copy and paste the first portion, and you can see we're using the 360 and we're using a new reference curve here, and that's creating this line. So using the same workflow from the beginning, from a static to the workflow to a parametric workflow, we now create a different style of ring completely. So what happens if we want to spice this up and add a gemstone right here? How about we put a bezel set cabochon stone there? So we'll go with a bezel set stone. It's right now pear shape. Let's make it a cushion. Well, let's make it a round. Okay, there's the gemstone. And we're going to make it 4 by 4. Okay, we have it in this position down here. What we do need is in the position up there. So what we need to do is orient to surface. And what we're going to do is use the we're going to bring this up here, and we're going to take this geometry, okay, we grouped it there. So what we're going to do is group it, type group, and we're going to group the mesh, and we're going to group the bezel, and we're going to, let's delete this. We're going to go like this, CV, which is copy and paste. We're going to bring this into there, which now has a group of one object. We're missing the girdle in here, or the bezel. put the bezel in. Okay. Let's raise the gemstone a bit. Let's delete this. We're going to move the gemstone vector Z and we can say 1.1 okay, and we're gonna put this in here and this in here, and let's see what happens. Why is it not moving there? Oh, flatten it. There we go. Okay, get rid of this. Bring this into this position. And now you'll see it show up on the set there. And we want to move it in here. Click, move, move, move. Let's move it a little bit here, more on the center line. That's why we have the crosshairs on. We can adjust things a lot easier with the crosshairs on. And there you go. You now have a completely different design. The base of this will be cut down, and because it's parametric, you can pick a shape and you can offset girdle. Okay. You can raise it up. You can rotate it. And now you have a completely different design using this tool. So it shows you the flexibility. Just because you have the option of any of these, you can change the setup easily. And we give you finished work. These are finished work jobs, how they're put together. To give you an example, any of these can be changed and altered once you bring them onto the canvas. Just because you see it one way doesn't mean you can't change it to match whatever design you want. Thank you for watching.